Hey everybody, Dan Cooper here. I have Roberto Fizier from my team, and I also have special guest Laura Oliver, who is a highly acclaimed family law lawyer in downtown Oakville, and she's managing partner with Russo and Associates. I'm going to start off right away with a question, Laura, which I think is something that's dear to you. What's the difference really between common law and spouse, upon separation in terms of their rights?
Great question. So there are different sections of the Family Law Act and the Divorce Act, all of which define spouse. So for both the Divorce Act and the Family Law Act, spouse is defined as somebody who is married or unmarried. So that means married spouses and common law spouses have the same spousal support rights. For property, it's not the same. Spouse is defined in the Family Law Act as people who are married. So that means that common law spouses do not have a statutory right to an equalization of net family property, meaning you don't have an automatic right to share in your common law partner's property. You have to either be on title or you have to establish a trust interest in that property in order to secure a cash payout. It can be very expensive to do that.
Or how important is it to choose the right realtor when, let's say, a couple sort of, realize, okay, you know what, we're going to part our ways, we're going to go either get separated or divorced. What can a realtor do? Like, how can we actually, provide value to that client?
Another good question. People going through separation and divorce are often feeling very raw emotionally. They're feeling very vulnerable.
Yep.
And so one of the most important things that you guys can offer them is a sense of neutrality, a sense that you're working for both of them, a sense that you want to help both of them.
Right. So don't take sides regardless of who called you, you basically remain a neutral and everything.
Yeah. And that then helps the realtors because you're not getting calls from clients saying, oh, I think, the realtor's working more for my spouse than for me.
Right.
Yeah.
That can create a lot of animosity.
Yes. Yeah.
What is the first thing that a couple should do if they're considering splitting up in order to protect themselves? Like, what would the process be?
So I think one of the most important things people can do is just go for an initial consult with somebody. Spend an hour or an hour and a half, go through your particular story. You'll get not only general legal advice with respect to the issues that you're facing, but in that hour or an hour and a half, you will get some particular advice for your situation as well. So for example, in that time, I can sort of run a napkin net family property statement. I can do some support calculations. And so I like to think that when people leave a consultation from our office, they're pretty informed. And so once people are informed, they have lots of different process options available to them.
Right.
And that should only take like 1 to 2 hours of their initial time.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
well worth the time, the expense, to get your sort of processes in place.
Yeah, and most people charge for an initial consult, and I think it's money well spent.
Yeah.
One last question for all the newlyweds and the newly married couples out there. How do you feel about prenups?
I think they're great. I think it's something that ideally you have a discussion about early on, but you don't have to have it before marriage. You can sign a marriage contract after you're already married.
You can.
You can?
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. Good to know.
You want to give yourself, though, enough time so that there's never a sense that something was signed under duress. Because the marriage contract that was signed on the eve of the wedding, that can be subject to scrutiny. Because there's the pressure that, the wedding won't happen unless the contract is signed.
Laura, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you after today's discussion?
Probably the easiest way is to send me an email at laura@russolaw.ca.
Okay, all right. So special guest Laura Oliver, we have Roberto Fizier, Dan Cooper. Going forth, any questions, the easiest way is our website, which is dancooper.com, and we look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thanks.